I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite
podcast
on the Citadel.
Welcome to Season 2 of Andromenerds, somehow still the number one Mass Effect podcast on the internet.
In the Helios cluster.
Oh, it's bigger than that, dude. It's bigger than that. My name is Minius of Minius GC, and with me are my co-hosts, Tucker from Mass Effect Follower.
Hello.
By the way, Tucker is getting a catchphrase. You get to pick what it is. He has no say in the matter. He has to say it once, and then I'm never going to introduce him again. He blew
Fuck it. I'll do new saying things, whatever, in each intro if fans want that.
Okay, so do you have a catchphrase for Tucker? Put it in the comments section.
Yes.
Also, the guy who's whispering is the one and only BioFan.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to Season 2. What's up?
And then our third host doesn't have internet somehow. It's like the most freak accident ever.
You mean fourth host?
Did I say
so because
third?
we're in season 2 now, are we going to have
host.
continuity errors from season 1?
Yes.
Sweet.
Dude, the whole show is a continuity error. I mean,
actually, the producers of our show thought my name shouldn't be Tucker. It switched to Tyler.
I still love Tucker. That one's still.
Do you guys
Tucker.
realize that we haven't recorded a podcast in like a month?
We've been a little bit busy, you know.
Even
right?
though there's been some stuff
Pathfinding
out.
and stuff. Yeah. Been doing a lot of pathfinding, so.
Okay, so in case you're curious, Andromenerds is still going to go, and we're going to go until you don't want us to go anymore, I think. That's basically the idea. Andromenerds posts every week, Mondays at noon Pacific, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 at night in the UK, and Tuesdays now at 5 in the morning on the east coast of Australia. Thank you, Daylight Savings Time. And Australia, did I say Australia? Did I say Australia? Doesn't matter. If you want to contribute to the show, though, with a question or topic suggestion, you should email us at andromenerds.com. And you should also know that this episode's going to have spoilers in it.
You have an andromenerds.com?
Did I say andromenerds as andromenerds.com?
No, you said email us at andromenerds.com. It should be andromenerds@gmail.com.
We need to get andromenerds.com. Someone probably already squatting on it. Andromenerds@gmail.com. And you should know that...
You're rusty, too, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I usually have a nice script to go with this, and we don't know what the hell we're doing because we all want to talk about completely different stuff. So we're going to fizzle this over in the next couple of weeks, but you need to be fully aware that this episode is going to have spoilers in it. If you haven't played the game, there's a chance you're going to hear something that you don't want to hear yet.
Papa Ryder dies.
Leave now. Go spend like 60 hours in the game, then you can come right on back, and you'll be.
You
good
can
to
play.
go.
You can do a solid story run in like 40 hours if you want.
I'd say 30 even.
Maybe, yeah. I mean,
if you rush it,
to get all the allies and squad mate content, I was thinking 40, but you might be right.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite ability so far?
Doing like biotic charge and then Nova. I call it the BioFan beatdown combo. You just like and then boom, and it's like pow.
Dude, that combo is devastating.
It is
love
the
super
best.
Generic too. I'm glad you creatively were able to use abilities together.
I love backlash. Backlash is incredibly helpful. That and energy drain.
I call Lance the biotic bitch slap because that's really what it is. You just like throw it and it hits them in the face and then they're dead and then pow.
Yeah, I've been using all of them in weird combinations and I don't have a favorite, which is good.
So, curious question. Did y'all actually use the favorite system or did y'all just use like 3 skills?
I forgot about the favorite system until you said it.
I think the favorite system did not work.
It was too much. In combat, it was kind of too much of a hassle to go into the menu, select a favorite, go out of the menu, go back into the menu, select a different favorite. It just didn't really work. I wish they would have given us, like, we press a button, we can see 3 more abilities we can use, kind of like Inquisition had, like, where you pressed one of the buttons and then see the other abilities or something.
Although, with everything on its own cooldown, those cooldowns would have been, I mean, you'd be using abilities exclusively, which is fine.
Okay, then
But like with Inquisition,
half all the cooldowns and give you double the abilities.
No, I would hate that.
No,
I would hate that. I love rapid fire abilities. What they really needed is, since they weren't really using the D-pad. I mean, you could make squad mates do things, kind of, but not really. It might as well just assign a different set of 3 abilities to one of the D-pad buttons.
I think that's something they should have done that really would have brought out favorites is if they removed the ability to switch your skills when in combat. Because you could just switch your skills in combat. Why go to favorites when you could just specify, I want this one new skill added?
Or if they did, the
what?
wheel where you change your weapons, in that wheel, have favorites be an option in that wheel that takes you to, the favorites wheel, that might have been a little bit better. That
probably a lot better.
I want to know what Minius got confused at.
Say what you were saying, because I don't think you were making any sense.
So the whole point of favorites is so while in combat you can have a close range set of abilities, and then have another favorite such for long range. You can just in mid combat go to your skills and switch out ones that you want, which really negates the point of favorites. So
that's right.
That is also true.
Yeah, so if they made it so you can't change your skills unless you're at a base or on the Tempest or something like that, then that really would have pushed the favorites thing.
I just kept 3 abilities and used no others the entire time. Is what I did.
You literally can do that and be perfectly fine and still have
I was perfectly fine.
Still
I
a very
felt a little
diverse
limited,
combat system,
but
I don't know.
Otherwise, that's the only thing about the combat system that I was kind of about. The rest I thought was really, really cool. The rest I thought was greatly improved. The other thing is that I thought while you can't control too much of what your squad mates do, I did think that their AI for combat was vicious. It was on it. PB was killing all the things. Cora was just biotics everywhere, and just Drac was just Krogan hammering everything. It was great.
I don't know. I kind of felt like they weren't there. They were kind of running around with chickens with their heads cut off.
I mean,
what difficulty did you play on?
I mean, on the higher difficulties, they're useless.
Yeah,
okay, because I played on narrative, and I thought they got it. I could stand over here, and they got it.
Yeah,
so.
that's.
Well, I mean, and narrative, if the enemy trips or sneezes, then they're gone.
Then they die. Yeah, it's hilarious. you can toss some dust at them, and then it sets off a change of sneezes that blows up everybody. Fun.
I just love to play it on easy difficulties and feel like I'm a biotic god. Okay,
their health is as powerful as the Quarian's immune system.
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
They're like naked Quarians running around. Yes.
Naked Quarians DLC coming soon.
But when I'm sitting there and I'm like, PB, I want you to use pull on this person. I have to hit it, and she throws singular. And well, nope, hit it again. And it's oh, now she's uses pull. It's I do wish that they still had it where you could choose what specific abilities you want your teammates to use. But
yeah, it ended up not bothering me at all because I like playing kind of by myself anyway. So to have people running around, it didn't bother me at all. I just did my thing, and the combat system's really fun.
I really noticed that issue because there's an achievement tied to doing 25 combo explosions that your teammates prime. So I just brought PB along, and it took a while for her to pull the enemy without them dying instead of hitting them with singularity.
You can singularity them or...
Well, no, your squad mate has to prime them.
That seems very easy. Although I haven't tried it, and you have, so...
Yeah.
I mean, they need more health.
On that topic, I have 5 achievements left in Andromeda, and I've got all of them.
So... Speaking of the squad mates, because this made me think about this, did it bother you guys at all that you couldn't vary up their outfits or appearance whatsoever?
No.
I can see why. They should have done something, I think, but it didn't bother me that much.
It bothered me because I really liked doing that, but I know why part of why they did it is because they really like cosplayers. And they really like the cosplay community, so having that iconic appearance makes it easy for people to cosplay. But at the same time, if you give us, I don't know, Mass Effect 3 level options is still great, and people cosplayed the hell out of Mass Effect 3 characters.
Is that actually why?
So, it's part of why.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's 100% the reason.
I gotta say
it's at least,
that's a terrible
40%
reason,
of the reason.
Then. That's a terrible reason. I
like
get that
how
cosplay's a thing, but percentage of people who cosplay and play the game and like switching, like that's. I hope that's
why
not why
they give them iconic appearances.
But,
it may or may not contribute to why you can't change that iconic appearance.
All right, so you're speculating.
I know with Dragon Age Inquisition, they had where like if you get the way they set it up was specifically kind of for cosplayers, and how like if you have a certain kind of armor and another certain kind of armor, and say you put it on, I don't know, Sarah. She has one outfit type and then another outfit type, and then you can kind of customize like the cloths and things. But in other cutscenes and stuff, she has like this one appearance that's more iconic for like cosplayers and to be more memorable as a character by appearance and stuff like that. So I think like that they did well in terms of you still had variance and control and things, but they still had an iconic appearance. But with Andromeda, it's like one and done.
Yeah,
you can't even change out their
weapons. I never
weapons.
changed the appearance of my squad mates in the trilogy at all. So
I always did. I even varied it up for missions. I was like, I think Liara would wear this. Like, we're going to take down a Reaper. I'm going to put on, like, the big, bad armor versus, like, we're going to go to the Citadel and talk to some people. Like, okay, that's pretty. You know? Like...
Oh, people play games for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. This is good stuff.
I always need to make sure my outfits are on point, no matter who's wearing them.
I think what bothered me more than the outfits thing is the fact that the characters, they kind of chose crappy guns. Like, those guns suck that they use. And
well, do those guns even have stats? Because, like, you can't do anything with what guns they have.
Because you can. I know for a fact that you can use PB Sidewinder in multiplayer.
Yeah, but as far as her, is it the same?
Is it like the same exact stats on that one?
I don't imagine. I mean, I don't think it's like the
I would
base
think
first
it's like
one, but
kind of like a bait. Like I would think it's different.
I think PB's weapon's probably the best.
I think PB has a very good weapon. I also think Drac with his Krogan hammer ability thing is the best.
The hammer, but his shotgun's garbage. And Vetra's assault rifle is also garbage.
But then if you give her that ability where she shoots like 1,000,000 bullets every second, then it's kind of not so rubbish.
You can use other guns to do that, though. This is a really minor point. I mean, yeah, like this is just, I mean, it's still good because BioWare people do listen to our podcast. So it is good to have constructive criticism. I shouldn't use the word garbage then. Although, it wasn't a big deal. But I mean, I really like the combat. If it was
important to you, but it's a minor point, then it's still something that is beneficial for them to hear, is what I say. Just communicate
How about this?
constructively.
What did you guys like the most about this game?
the combat.
Yeah, I was going to say the combat too.
Absolutely. The combat
is
in this
phenomenal.
one,
It really is.
It destroys the combat in the original trilogy.
My love triangle.
So that's interesting that like I remember you you're actually, do we even want to get into that? I'll hit the pause button.
No, yeah, let's do it. Let's get into it.
The gay romance thing?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember when we first played the game in there and you were freaking out that you could get into love triangle. And like you're like, this has never been a thing. You've never been able to do this in a video game before. And I was trying to think like, I can't say I've explored that, but I believe that 100%. So that's a huge step forward, right?
I should probably, for the people that have no idea what we're talking about.
So the community obviously then is really into the gay romances in this, right? All the male-on-male romances. That's a big. Everybody's really happy with it, right?
Okay, so let me just give the full story. So when I first played the game, I did not know any of the background info on who had what kind of content and whatnot. So when I first played it, I went in totally blind, not knowing what was up, and I had a really enjoyable experience, romancing both Gil and Reyes, and expecting at some point for there to be like a confrontation where they're like, oh, hell no, you can't date that other person, I'd have to choose. And I was like, I don't know who to choose. And I just went further down the rabbit hole, and I'm still like, I don't know who to choose. And I think it was technically a bug to where you weren't blocked off for either romance. But it was still, hey, it was fun. Even if it was a bug, it's the best bug that I have ever had. But so the thing about the romances in Mass Effect Andromeda in terms of both sexuality and relationship progression, there is a lot of inequality. So, like in terms of sex scenes, there are only 4 sex scenes out of all the romances.
Really?
And so that's Yeah, there's Korra, PB. By the way, I guess this is technically spoilers if you don't want to know this, leave.
Well,
but,
I mean,
so there's Korra, PB, Zhao, and Gil. The thing about Gil's is you don't actually see any relations, and it fades to black. And then Jaw's, you see some foreplay, and then it fades to black. But with PB, and especially Korra's, you see everything. Like,
yeah,
everything.
Lots of actual banging.
That's how this game got its M rating, is like those 2 scenes. There's a lot of animation work that went into it. You can definitely tell, compared to all the rest of the romances, where the work went into, and that was Korra and PB's. And if you look at the options, it's heterosexual male writer that gets the majority of romance options and the majority of sex scenes. So a lot of people were thinking that it was way too unequal, and this is coming after especially Dragon Age Inquisition, where as a whole the romances were a little more equal across the board, and also coming after the Mass Effect trilogy, where male players that wanted to romance a male character had to wait all the way until Mass Effect 3. So it's kind of, there was a lot riding on that. So a lot of players who wanted to romance a male character as a male writer felt like they kind of got the short end of the stick. I still enjoyed what experience I had, but I will agree that in terms of content, there's definitely a lot of inequality, not only just for sexuality, but also for relationship progression, because Liam doesn't even have a sex scene. Jaws is decent compared to the others, but there's PB and Korra definitely gets, it's obvious that where the work went into.
So that's that's interesting. That I did not know.
Yeah.
I do think, how many other series or game series in there that have multiple relationship trees that go into both hetero and homosexuality? How many games out there are that do that?
Dragon Age does a pretty decent job.
Okay, so that's a BioWare game. What else?
That's a BioWare game. BioWare is one of the most
BioWare
gay-friendly companies in terms of relationships in video games.
Is there anybody else? Is my question really?
Yes, but not to BioWare level, I would say.
Who else?
Dragon's Dogma had some.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I haven't played it. I just know that it had it.
I never got that far in that game because I didn't. Well,
I'm trying to think. The fact that I
That's
have to kind of
that's a
think
Japanese
might tell
game,
you
too.
something. But
yeah,
there are others. I'm just currently
the point.
blanking.
It's like I understand. Like these sound like legitimate complaints and stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as like visceral outrage.
Oh, also another
man.
thing that
think
fueled
nobody
it.
else is doing
Another
it.
thing that fueled
I
it
know
is
Witcher
that
3
Jaal
has
was originally
romances,
Jaal was originally supposed to be bisexual, so available for both male writer and female writer. Scott Taylorson recorded lines for the romance, but for some reason it was cut. I'm thinking probably because they didn't have time to complete it in order to meet ship, is what I think happened. But that was a thing that also fueled the argument that there was a lot of inequality in the romances.
It's true. It's like, okay, I mean, I don't think I'm the right person to...
I still enjoyed my experience. I'll agree that I felt like there needed to be more content, definitely, but I still enjoyed my experience.
There is the one thing that bugs me the most about the way the fans are reacting to this game is the way that they're biting the hand that feeds them in a way. And if you keep on lashing out at people who put out games that are... There aren't other people who do games like this. There really aren't. There's like one or two.
BioWare is kind of one of a kind. Although BioWare leadership will say that they're not one of a kind, but they are.
They are.
So
they are. I mean, like...
They are definitely one of a kind.
And if the reaction is always negative and always this visceral and there's no positive, they'll just stop doing it. EA will stop funding them and they'll stop coming out with games, and then you'll have nothing.
If they stop making money, then EA will stop funding it.
I think
as
EA,
long as they make money.
EA has an image thing too. They will swallow games to keep their image whole.
Yeah, I mean, look. I don't know if you guys know this, but the Command and Conquer series was held as one of the like a pinnacle RTS series that EA just stopped because the Red Alert 3 and stuff just got terrible reviews from people.
So they will hold on to games if they're not being reviewed well or for PR reasons, and that's where they're at. So this is
what I'll say is that feedback is very valued. BioWare really values feedback, but when you give feedback, give it constructively. Explain why you weren't satisfied with something, or explain why something bothered you, or explain what you think could have been done better, but communicate constructively so that way that feedback can be taken and actually used versus, oh my god, that was so stupid, she's so ugly.
Yeah, no. It's like you send a message to them.
They can't do anything with that.
If you do a decent review or you critique it like an adult, they'll listen. If you go, my face is tired. They're not going to listen to that. And that's what the majority of people are going out saying is this little shit like that. That's not going to help anything. That the only thing that's going to do is make a chance of another Mass Effect game not happen.
In terms of the reviews, I agree with a lot of what the reviews said, but I also think that all the reviews that I read were completely unbalanced.
Yeah, the game is not perfect. The game has issues. But the way that people
but the thing is they focused too much on criticism. They focused way too much on criticism and maybe 10% praise. There was not a lot of praise going on in the reviews. What I think happened is they gave out review copies not that long before the embargo for the reviews went up. So I'm wondering how many of them actually had the time to sit down and really enjoy the experience.
I bet very close to 0%.
There
was not anywhere near enough time for review copies.
My review, I do extremely in depth. That takes me quite a while. But for the quick type up reviews, the quick type up reviews like mainstream reviews have to do, I would take a lot less time, but I don't know how far they made it. From what I've read, they made it a decent bit, but not the whole thing.
They probably cut out stuff. So here's an interesting...
For a game like Mass Effect, you can't play the game for 5-6 hours and give it a review.
Well, no, it's not that. I think that they tried to play as much as they possibly could, but they had a time constraint. So at some point, they probably did not do 80% of the game.
So they had a week, pretty much just a week flat.
It took me not leaving my apartment at all 4 days. And that's without working.
That's doing nothing.
Literally
else,
doing
right?
nothing but playing the game. And having
then
delivery
they have to
food.
Write a review there too. That's just not.
Yeah, then they have to do a job, an actual, and that has to get reviewed before it gets put out by their staff. So it was probably maybe they had 3 days, maybe, and that's with having probably families and life and other things, So
I do think that negatively impacted reviews. I also think
just the size of it was. Probably they needed to have given it out maybe a little sooner. I don't know what the standard is for review copies.
It's all over the place.
Reviewers.
It depends.
It's all over the place.
It depends on the
development cycle.
Sometimes they'll get it a month ahead of time. Sometimes they'll get it with no time at all.
Okay, I think that significantly hurt them because for me, when I first played it, I probably had probably a lower number, but replaying it more, my opinions have gotten better.
Here's
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Are you comfortable with giving a number rating on it and then defending it?
Yeah.
On the podcast?
I'm going to be doing a formal review for that, but I don't mind giving out the number.
So this isn't a full review because I know you guys probably want to do one thing.
I'll put a disclaimer and say that the number may change when I go into typing out my full analysis. My number may change.
This is a number out of 10 on the classic video game review scale, which is a lot like the way grades work in the United States, which is stupid. So if you you can miss whatever. It doesn't take advantage of that. So you are aware it's on the Metacritic rating. What would you give it out of 10?
7.5.
That's really low.
The reason I give it 7.5 is because for me there were a lot of issues with the story. I think that the crit path compared to the rest of the game was not enough content. I think they set it up, they were very much inspired by Mass Effect 1, which that kind of story in which it is formed kind of like an onion, like you peel back the layers to get deeper into it. It took a while to get into the game, but once you got into it, it was really good. But the thing about the crit path was a lot of choices did not have repercussions other than a few people being mad at you. So, and a lot of choices were also kind of tacked on at the end. So I feel like that part, there wasn't a lot at stake in terms of the choices. I think it's very well set up for going forward in the series. I think that part's really well done. But I think that in terms of the story content, it wasn't necessarily BioWare's A game. I think that there needed to be a lot more repercussion. And there was also just like bugs and things, but I kind of expected that.
Here's
my main
question
thing was
that goes
the story.
with that. Why do you play video games? Like, what
I
do you
play
want out of
video
video
games
games?
An escape from
Okay, just an escape.
life.
When you
a
play a
relaxing
game,
experience and fun and emotionally stimulating. That's the key. Emotionally stimulating.
to try to get I guess that would work. Emotionally stimulating. So you were looking for story.
Yes.
Okay. So the fact that when you're more of a concentrating on being a story gamer, the fact that that 7.5 probably reflects that aspect, that is, I can totally see that.
There's a lot of really good things that they did. The different environments were all gorgeous, and fun to explore. They had fun combat. I enjoyed the combat a whole lot. I liked most of the characters. There's some that I felt were a little weak, but most of them I enjoyed. But I just feel like in a lot of places I just needed more content. I felt like there wasn't enough focus on the crit path, and also the way that they formatted the story, kind of similar to Mass Effect 1's with the onion thing. When you know all of, like, you're led kind of by your sense of curiosity and not by, oh my god, this is so dramatic. So I think that because once you learn, or at least in my experience, once you learn those secrets, when you replay, it kind of loses that what was driving you before. So I think that you can't just rely on those kind of like figure out the secrets. You need more within the path to finding out the secrets, and you need a little more variance, because a lot of choices lead to either people being mad at you or person A being replaced with person B, or there not being anyone in that slot, is kind of what I found.
Yeah, as far as the question, the decision a little bit. Tucker, what do you what would you score this game? And
I
general
would
review
say about
discussions?
an 8.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would go
8.
8. I mean, there are issues with the game. There are definitely bugs
That is
in the
also
game.
low.
And
For a AAA.
For a AAA, yeah.
well, yeah, no, I would say 8 because there are bugs in the game, and
I'm also a really tough reviewer, though.
definitely some animation problems. But overall, I've spent over 100 something hours in the game. I think when I last checked my
Same.
time, it's like 130 hours in the game.
Like,
So
bottom line, I still keep playing.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
Yes, there are bugs. Yes, some of the characters don't look as amazing as what they could be, but I'm still enjoying the absolute shit out of the game.
I kind of have the opinion that you can nitpick this game to death if you want to.
You can nitpick any game.
You
No,
can nitpick
no,
anything.
no,
to
you
death,
can't.
but
Not like
especially
this.
video games.
Not like this.
Oh yeah, you can.
Well, comparatively, there are so many little things that this game might be killed by like a million bee stings or a million bug bites.
Instead of just one big,
instead of just some,
massive
like,
dragon.
Because there's like little things that really stick with a bunch of people. Facial animations is one of them. That didn't really bother me as much. I guess I think I enjoyed this game a lot more than most people. But then again, I play games.
But we're also more invested in the BioWare franchises
I mean,
than most people.
That too, but I play games a lot more for ease of movement and combat creativity and that kind of stuff. And in those categories, Mass Effect Andromeda scores ridiculously high.
So what number would you give the game as a whole?
Overall, 8.5, which is
Okay.
for how. In fact, it's kind of interesting. is my two complaints. The biggest complaint really is about pacing, where they could have trimmed the fat out of this thing and pumped it up to like a 9.5, in my opinion. Like,
what fat do you think would have been trimmed if you had the decision making?
I would have taken out the entire open world type thing.
Really?
I would have removed that entirely, which removes a lot of content, but it also allows you to go directly from story mission to story mission and push the story along. I kind of agree that because
I found
the pacing is an issue, and pacing is an issue with. I mean, you guys have seen movies and TV shows and read books where the story's really good, but if the pacing is awful, it drags the whole thing down, and the way everything's spread out ruins the pacing. Not entirely, but it's bad. And in that case, it drives the story quality down because the pacing isn't there. And it's very, very difficult to do that with an open world setting. If it was like, let's say we'll use Mass Effect 1 as the example, because they want to keep the Nomad or whatever. You can have little off planets that you can go to, but you want to be able to like start this mission, just jump right into it, do that, go back to the ship, talk to all your squad mates, then jump right into the next mission. And instead, there's a third stage where you drive around and go to all these little places in the open world. It drags the game out way too much. And I think that some people would really like that. But on the whole, for a story-driven franchise, it's damaging. Especially when you want to get to know the characters. If you're spending all this time out in the world, you can't know the characters. There's too much going on. And if they had like condensed it back to a Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2 type level, where yes, there are hubs you can explore, and yes, there are little planets you can explore, but if you want to go from mission to mission, you can do that quickly. And you couldn't do that here.
Do you think that instead of, say, trimming the fat, you do a fat transplant where you take the time and effort that went into most of the open world creation and put it into the story, the core crit path? Do you think that would have made the game a lot better?
I don't think that analogy really works because you don't have the same people working on that stuff.
Okay, well, time, I guess, or resources. Whatnot.
If it works out, I guess. I think by cutting out that fat, a lot of the complaints on lack of story, I think some of those will dissipate.
Yeah.
It's just...
Because I kind of agree. I think the pacing in Mass Effect 3, cut off the ending for this discussion, because that's a whole thing, but the pacing in Mass Effect 3, I absolutely loved. Because you do big story, another big story thing, talk to your companions and stuff, another big story thing. It's all just like bam, 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 amazing. Until last 20 minutes or so. But otherwise, amazing. That's what I think.
Yeah, and it kills great storylines if the pacing's not there, and the pacing wasn't there. And I don't know of a lot of games that are... In fact, I can't really think of too many open world games that really nail a story. That's very rare. Very rare to have a phenomenal story with lots of detailed characters and that kind of stuff, and an open world exploration setting.
How do you feel?
This is what's being compared to Mass Effect Andromeda a lot. It's Witcher 3, which the story of Witcher 3 is really good. It's pretty amazing.
That's not... Well, it is fair because that's the gold standard, but it's also like, man... I love the people who
really
are like...
fucking annoys me about people comparing the game to Witcher 3. They're like, oh, this was made by CD Projekt Red and less time than with Mass Effect Andromeda.
I don't think that's actually true.
Well, no, the development time for Witcher 3 was 3.5 years. Development time for Mass Effect Andromeda was 5 years.
But
the budget
I agree.
for
I'll
Mass
say that
Effect
to me,
Andromeda was $40 million. The budget for Witcher 3 was $81 million.
It has to do with the amount of people working on, like if you're using
they both have
years
about
as
200
a timer,
people in total working on it.
I wonder how many people were actually working on Andromeda for those 5 years, because BioWare does other stuff.
From what I understand, it is that for at least a year, maybe two, especially if you're kind of building a new franchise or a new saga of the franchise, that there's a lot of world building and core writing that goes on for a good chunk of time, and then the rest of the people are brought in to actually build the game. So at least a year is probably like core team, like a handful of people, and then it branches out to more people. But I'll agree that to me, Mass Effect Andromeda, even including that as a factor, since story is a big area of critique, which I will still say I enjoyed. That to me, it did not feel like a game that had 5 years of development time. To me, it felt like a game that had maybe 3.
Yeah, I don't think the years thing is a good analogy, because I guarantee those people weren't working on it for 5 straight years.
Oh,
well, no,
they're not, but
for story though, even.
But here's another thing to take into account. They had a budget for $40 million, and they made that for 5 years.
Where did you get that money from? Or that number
that's
from?
What it's been out.
It's been publicly revealed.
Yeah. Public revealed by who, though?
I think it's been
Is
up
it
on
bad if I say
Trolling McFuckface who revealed that? What's the budget
Hold
on?
let me
I have a really hard time believing the 40 million number. It sounds way too low to me.
Yeah, especially for an open world game.
Sounds way too low.
But also with 5 years of development.
I think it was Forbes. Hold on, let me look.
With 5 years of development, a lot in gaming changes in 5 years. A lot. So they could have had something going on for, the first 2 years. Something comes along and, oh shit, we have to scrap 90% of what we made and have to do some more stuff. I mean, that's how Halo 2 was made. Halo 2, they had this amazing thing going, and then they had to scrap the entirety of Halo 2 and start it over with a year left to publish. And Halo 2, even though right now it is one of the best, or people say it's one of the most iconic Halo games, when it came out, the story was absolutely shit for Halo 2 because the story was nothing. And I feel like that's kind of like what an issue is with Mass Effect Andromeda, is that it has a really good story as a beginning point. As its own, it doesn't really hold up that much.
A lot of the thing, like I think I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, and I stand by this 100%, that if this was not a Mass Effect game, this was a new IP, people would give it a lot more leeway.
If this was a new IP, people would be shitting themselves over look how great this is.
Yeah, of course, that's not fair, really, because when you're reviewing a game, if you're reviewing a Mass Effect game, you need to review it like a Mass Effect game.
Yeah.
But
I'm seeing the 40 million number coming from a variety of sources, including Kotaku and Eurogamer and a variety of other places.
Okay.
So it's a commonly given fact. Given that it's on like a million different places, I'd say it's accurate.
One thing that I really, really, really want to see that's related to this, and in no way are we going to get this, which is too bad. I want to see the sales numbers of this game.
We're going to see the sales numbers.
No, there are always sale numbers.
No, there are never sales numbers. There's always
investor reports.
There are always
investor
sales
reports, but not in the same way as you get like movies.
You're not
going to
get like the final number, but you're going to get some idea.
Yeah,
they have to give their investors some idea of how well it did.
Movies do things so much better. Exactly how many people how much money a movie made right away. And they hide those numbers intentionally in video games, and it annoys the shit out of me. I'm annoyed. I'm very annoyed.
The
forecast I saw from an EA person was 3 million copies sold in the first week, which puts it around a projection of 6 to 9 million, which is low, which is reasonably low. I think it's. I mean, if the $40 million budget thing is true, that's not that bad. But if it's a normal AAA game, that's on the low side, especially if it gets to 6.
What I want to know is how much of that budget was for things that aren't development, like marketing and things like that.
Probably zero, because
no,
Tucker, listen to me here. When you have a budget, especially on a movie, there's the budget to make the movie, and then there's a marketing budget. They never combine those. So normally what your idea is, you take the production budget for Mass Effect would be 40, and then you multiply that by 2.5, and that's your overall budget. So especially for movies, they're like, oh, this movie cost $100 million to make. You're like, that's true. They also almost certainly spent $150 million on marketing, which balloons the cost up to, $250 million. So although the marketing campaign and I think we talked about this there, is EA did not market this game very well.
It was, because their strategy, what I think was they were kind of looking at people become more interested when a game is closer to launch, so they were trying to focus more on that. But what I think what they lost in that was feedback. because there was a whole lot of feedback really, really close to launch when people started seeing more of the actual game. That they were trying to fix some things closer to launch after getting that feedback. So I feel like if they were to have stretched it out a little bit more, then they would have had more time to get that feedback and maybe make some adjustments based on that feedback. Like the facial animations thing, when did that start? That started originally with like the Sarah scene on Kadara
in December.
It was like the gameplay trailer in like December. So I think if they had done that earlier, then maybe they would have had time to tweak it a bit more.
That's a good point. That's not something I was thinking of when I was thinking more along the lines of Mass Effect Andromeda was not anywhere nearly highly anticipated enough to pull off the Fallout model, because it's coming off of Mass Effect 3's ending, which was not universally loved. I'll put it that way.
Also,
Fallout 4, the idea of Fallout 4 coming out was almost an internet joke, kind of like Half-Life 3. Is that so? When Fallout 4 was announced, everyone was talking about it. Mass Effect Andromeda didn't really have that kind of oomph as what Fallout has.
Besides the stuff that they had leak problems earlier.
They also started advertising for the game like 4 years before it came out originally. Like they started teasing that it was in development and other things, and it was kind of like they failed the model they were even going for in the first place, was trying to do the Fallout 4 thing, which was 6 more months before it launched. Boom, Fallout 4. Oh my God, what's happening?
I think
versus like a trailer 1 year, a trailer another year, a trailer a year later, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a correct way to market these, but
I don't want.
Then again, I do not have formal marketing training, so what I'm saying is not.
By the way, I have formal marketing training.
But Minius has formal marketing training.
Marketing training is a bunch of crap. I can say that for sure, because the theories and stuff that change every couple years. You can't just. There is not a formula that works. You need to change things up. You need to be fresh. So being trained in a certain method is absolutely worthless. So you, BioFan, are just as qualified as anybody else to market stuff, in my opinion.
Okay, cool.
So
and I don't want to get too far away from the subject, but another annoyance I have with the community is them comparing this game to Horizon Zero Dawn.
Well, that's fair.
Well, that just came out, so
no. Here's the thing also. Horizon Zero Dawn, it's a good game. I've seen Mackenzie play it. It's a good game. But Horizon Zero Dawn is a PlayStation exclusive, meaning they didn't have to work on coding for multiple engines. Yeah. Horizon Zero Dawn only has one character. There's no multiple characters that you could choose from, multiple squad mates, character customizers. There's none of that. The quests in Horizon Zero Dawn are a quarter of what they are in Mass Effect Andromeda. It's like the comparisons when they're like, oh, look how amazing Horizon
Zero Dawn went full in for open world and a little bit of story versus Andromeda tried to do 50 million things?
That goes into what I'm saying with pacing and spread outness, though.
Well, it's just like, people are like, look how amazing Horizon Zero Dawn is. Why is it that Mass Effect Andromeda couldn't look like that? It's like, well, Mass Effect Andromeda went for quantity over quality. They wanted a lot out of the game to make it feel alive and like it's an actual thing, instead of Horizon Zero Dawn where there's like 5 side missions.
Here's something I want to bring up that fits right in with what you're talking about. Character models, facial animations, that kind of stuff, where a lot of the
negativity is difficult.
Yeah, it's hard. Here's a theory that I have, and I don't know, Tucker, you might be able to answer this better. It's really hard to have customized characters and phenomenal facial animations because motion capture, facial capture is so prominent now and looks so good, but you can't do that and have a custom face. They don't go together.
I mean, you can. It just depends on how you are animating the face. There's actually a person who worked on the animation for Mass Effect Andromeda that worked at BioFan, but they left. They actually went online and they talked about...
Oh, yeah, they went on Twitter, right? I read this, like, enormous Twitter chain. It was really good.
They were trying to animate the people by hand instead of using an algorithm. that a lot
they had an algorithm, but they were focusing too much on doing everything by hand.
Yeah, so that's what kind of led to the animations being how they are. Instead of having it run an algorithm where it randomizes, generated on response of, where the conversation's going or things like that, they were trying to do it all by hand.
And they didn't have enough time, so they didn't spend enough time making the algorithm buffed up because they thought they were going to have enough time to go in and animate everything personally, but that didn't work out.
Which the person talks about, that's what Witcher 3 does, is it has this algorithm going, and then it'll randomly have a person do a gesture or something that relates to what it is, but keep it random enough where it feels like this character is being themselves instead of, he went with section A. He went with option C, something like that. And then with the issue with Andromedas, they were trying to do it by hand instead of running the algorithm.
Well, there's always a little bit of by hand. He kind of specified that they ran out of time and weren't able to fully do that, so they weren't able to buff up the algorithm. So it was all based on time. And they wanted to do a better job, but based on time, they didn't have it. So
I still think motion capture blows that stuff out of the water. But
it does.
Man, could you imagine facial motion capturing all the dialogue in Mass Effect Andromeda?
There's a million.
How much? What would the budget have? What would the budget be then?
Not just budget. How about the time?
Well, I think what they do is they capture mouth sounds. So you take all the different mouth sounds you can make, and they kind of do that for lip talking.
I get that,
maybe?
but I'm comparing. We're talking about Horizon Zero Dawn, and I'm thinking specifically about Naughty Dog games, which you two probably aren't as familiar with. But Naughty Dog does something which is going to be the industry standard because it looks so frickin' good. They have full-on actors. I mean, they do this. They do this for all the way movies back to Avatar, where they have a camera on the actor's face, where their face is dotted, and they're actually acting out the entire scene as they do it, and they motion capture all of that.
That's what they do with Halo.
Yeah, and it looks so good, and
but how long is the game's story compared to Andromeda?
Well, yeah, with Naughty Dog games and with Halo and things like that, those
Uncharted
are
probably compares favorably. The fourth one,
really?
Yeah, you talking about the amount of actual story content?
Yeah, the amount of actual cutscenes.
Yeah, there's. I imagine there's less because there's no diversity in it, right? I mean, you're not romancing 15 different aliens.
Yeah, I was going to say, with Uncharted, there is a big story, but with Andromeda, it's, okay, act out as if they did this choice. Now as if they did this choice. While Uncharted is act out this scene. Instead of this choice, this choice, this choice. And then this branching one, this branching one, this branching one.
But the issue there is, though, that exists as a video game, and it's out there, and it's going to be compared to Mass Effect Andromeda. And one of them looks better. And it's the Uncharted version. It's the Naughty Dog version by far. And so it's more difficult to have that diverse of a story. I had an interesting, the most interesting poll I've ever done. I asked people if they would rather have stellar facial animations with motion capture, facial capture, or a customizable character. It was split right down the middle.
Really?
50-50.
Wow.
And this is
I would pick the customizable character.
Exactly, and then some people would go in the other way. So when you're comparing it to, especially The Witcher came up, but character models that are set are always going to have better facial animations than character models that are.
Well, yeah. If you can't change the way that character looks, then you can set how they animate, and nothing you're going to do is change that.
They kind of sort of set. They had sort of kind of set character models because they only have 8 face options. So, and you can't vary them up too much.
No, so but it's enough that it makes a difference.
I mean, it's 8 times more than just having one character, and per gender. So 16 times more. It's technically.
Yeah, it's such a difficult thing to do as much as they try to do and still have the high quality that people apparently are demanding. So,
well, they are working on patches, so we'll see.
Speaking of patches and stuff coming out tomorrow, at least after this show releases tomorrow, which is the 4th, this show is going to release on the 3rd. BioWare is announcing something about the future.
I love that. I love that because some companies don't do this, but BioWare is being extremely transparent. They're not hiding and sending out little messages. They said, no, we're coming out. We're gonna talk about things that are going on. We're gonna talk about our plans for.
Which, by the way, is incredibly admirable. I have
that is very admirable.
You can
like they're actually addressing
the game with
like,
a livid passion,
and
but the fact that the developers are still going to come out and talk about it, you still have to admire that.
The chin on these guys, like to use a boxing metaphor, is the sturdiest imaginable. There's so much crap being flung in the air. The fact that people are willing to stick their heads up at the ground is amazing. But so here's the follow-up question to that, though, is what are they going to announce?
I imagine that they're going to do something extremely similar. And I know, and we kind of talked this privately, and I know you guys don't like this, but I think they're going to do what 343 Industries did with the absolute garbage launch of the Master Chief Collection, which is they're going to come out, they're going to say, this is how we're going to fix it, and as a way to make up for those of you who had the game, while the issues were still going on, here's like a little compensation thing. Here is something... Which, what they did with the Master Chief Collection, they can't really do with this game, but they completely remastered Halo 3 ODST and gave that for free to fans who got the game early on. So I imagine what they're going to do with this is...
Oh my god, Mass Effect Trilogy remastered for free! Oh my god!
Well, I imagine what they're going to do with this is, as a way to apologize for this, like, the first DLC that, we'll talk about later.
Oh, yeah, I could see maybe the first DLC being free.
Free.
Yeah.
I
could see that, yeah.
That'd be impressive. I don't know if that's up to them.
I just feel like they'll be like, there are fuck-ups in the game. We are going to work on fixing them, and when the first DLC, when that comes around, like, they're not going to say, oh, this is what the DLC is. They're not going to push on that. But my guess is that they will say the first DLC will be free as a way to apologize to the fans. And I think even Assassin's Creed Unity, I think that did that too. I think the first DLC expansion was free.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Not discussing what happens in the ending necessarily, because a lot of people probably haven't gotten there yet. But to me, I kind of felt like the way that it was left, it was done very well to leave the story open moving forward. But I'm kind of wondering if, in terms of content, if it may be advantageous in this situation to do an expansion versus all DLCs.
You mean like pulling a Destiny where they just do expansions instead of DLCs?
No, not like Destiny, like with Dragon Age Origins, how it had like Awakening.
Maybe.
Like an expansion. Like Elder Scrolls kind of expansion.
The DLCs are really bleeding over with expansions, though.
I mean, DLC is downloadable content. I mean, when they
but like
skins
versus
for a
like
weapon,
maybe
that's
a
DLC.
3-hour DLC story thing, another 3-hour DLC story thing. You get like a 10-hour... Because, like, with DLCs, it has to be kind of narrow in scope because it's a kind of shorter addition to the story. It's its own kind of separate thing adding on to what exists. Versus with an expansion, the arc can be a whole lot wider in scope.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
I think it's somewhere in the middle, but I know exactly what you're saying.
Do you think that...
I don't know
if it would be more
I don't know if they can do that. I mean... Where's the time and the money to do this stuff?
That is also true.
That's... Well, I mean, I guess this is some
stuff...
Well,
they have all, like, the textures in the game and stuff, so it's mostly, like, building new environments and character animations and vocal recording, I think.
So, like,
it's like what you do for a DLC, but longer.
So, a relaunch, like, a year from now? Is that what you're thinking?
No, like an expansion a year from now, maybe.
Okay. Well, it's kind of like a relaunch expansion. Who knows? I'm curious to see what they're going to be doing because I guarantee people are going to be mad about what they're doing.
I'm also not wanting
no matter what.
I'm also not wanting to expect anything because I just want to like go into whatever happens on April 4th with an open mind and see what they do. I don't want to be thinking anything like free DLC or anything. I want to kind of go in with no idea what they're going to do so I can kind of more openly take in what they give.
I think they're going to just announce a bunch of patches.
That's kind of the bare minimum is what I think.
I think this. I mean, obviously, giving away free stuff would be fun.
They have said publicly that there will be like stuff in like May.
Oh my God! Stuff in May. Mass Effect Trilogy remastered.
I don't know what the stuff is, but it's like, I don't want to say content because that makes it seem like DLC.
Commander
but like there's
Shepard.
something.
Okay, actually, I was going to get into
By
more
the way,
spoilers.
that choice in the character creator, did you guys ever encounter anything that actually referred to Shepard's gender?
I think I've heard them say he because I picked male Shepard.
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
he or a she. But spoilers, we're getting too far. So we've actually done a pretty good job of not getting deep into spoilers. So we're going to probably cut this off here and go to our third or fourth favorite segment, the question segment.
Well, that'd be awesome if we had questions.
Do we want to do a poll? We haven't done a poll in a while.
Do a poll. Do we not have any questions?
All of the questions are before the launch and like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? None of them are like...
One of you tweet out, give us a question for Andromenerds right now. We're going to answer it.
Okay, Adam Wiggly says he has one.
Why don't you love me anymore? Adam, get over yourself.
Adam, we love you.
I really hope his self-esteem is not tied to Andromenerds. I feel really bad about that.
Who is your favorite Krogan squad mate? How about that?
Oh, okay. Not in Andromeda. You mean period?
Oh, like over the whole entire franchise.
I was like, wow, BioFan, that's a lame poll.
Over the whole
I know
franchise.
who Adam Wiggly will vote for.
Actually, I wonder what Adam Wiggly will vote for. Adam, we're thinking of you, and what do you mean we don't love you anymore? Jeez.
Come on, Adam, please.
Do you want to go with that? The three Krogan squad
let's do
mates?
it, because I feel like that. Or I could do Asari. We've also had a number of Asari. So do you want to do Krogan? I feel like Krogan is a good one to do.
Wouldn't
Liara
crush
one?
Wouldn't
of
Liara
Krogan,
crush
one
the
of Asari?
Liara would crush the Asari poll though.
That is true.
Do you want, we can do them both, but I imagine Liara would just crush that thing. Is anyone's favorite Asari squad mate Samara?
Really? I think the person
out
that
of
would win
all
is
of them
Morinth.
she would win.
Oh, that's right, Morinth. Forgot about Morinth.
I mean, that's kind of like a half squad mate.
Well, she's theoretically a squad mate.
Theoretically.
Okay, do you want to go with the Krogan? Who's your favorite Krogan squad mate in the Mass Effect series?
Do we want to put as a fourth option? This might be fun. Put Minius.
No, because that'll skew the poll dramatically.
Minius, are you a romance option?
Yes, but really, it's very difficult to romance me for multiple.
What is your loyalty mission?
What is my loyalty mission?
Is it rescuing Conrad Berner?
No.
Oh, there's 20 votes now. It's actually pretty evenly split.
Drack's way up there. I did not expect that.
Yeah, I did not expect that.
I voted for Drack.
I think
Drack is the only Krogan squad mate I've ever brought on anything.
I think Drack
really, because compared to Rex and Grunt, he's my least favorite. Still love him, but compared to all three of them, he's not at the top of the totem pole.
He might be incredibly badass. Like, it definitely lives up to the Krogan legacy, if that's what you're.
I would say he lives up to that Krogan legacy, and he's cool. But compared to the two that we've had before, I think the other two are more lovable. In my personal opinion.
Unless you're a Lexi Doctor.
Unless you are Dr. Alexi, in which case there is a clear winner.
Who wants to jump his artificial bones?
There are new messages at your private terminal.
I would like to know how you feel about meeting the Angara and how the game handled it.
You know what? I feel like these discussions should come later.
Oh, all right.
Do you have a good answer? Do you want to go with that?
Well, I was just gonna say I get disappointed with meeting the Angara, just how quickly they could speak English and interact with you. I was really hoping for like a decent amount of time where you're trying, like as a cutscene kind of thing, but trying to figure out their language, and maybe the first time when you're walking through the Angaran city that you don't know what they're saying.
I feel like the translator thing was not addressed nearly enough as it should be.
Yeah,
it was kind of like a background
instantly
detail.
Started speaking English. They scanned you once and spoke it.
And even that itself wasn't actually addressed. And then, but I did enjoy like the scenes it kind of. Like, I liked walking through the city, and I liked, like, the landing part and stuff. Like, I thought that was good, but I also felt they were a little too... It felt a little quick, kind of.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like that translator thing should have been
I feel like that could be a super expanded topic, so I want to like put a pin in that and come back to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but one more thing I do want to talk about that is I feel a big reason why I feel let down is whenever people asked the developers on Twitter, they always said like, oh, just wait till you see how it is explained in game. It never felt like it was explained.
It never really was.
No.
And, I mean, you would have to like really hunt in the lore to kind of find it. Maybe it's in the codex somewhere, but it's not actually for a casual vast majority player. They would have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing there is, I mean, unless you could do the language thing interesting, language barriers are incredibly difficult on relations, and the whole game is about alien relationships.
Yeah, so I feel like they could have done so much with that language barrier thing. But
I mean, I wouldn't want it to be a major plot point, but I do think at least if they explained the
I think
translation
it should have been a
thing-
major plot point.
I think this is another good discussion. So here's one question. Adam jumps right on this. He wants to know who's going to win in a fight, Vorn or Char. In the
Who's
fight,
Char?
Char is the Krogan who spouts poetry. On
I vote Char.
I think Char wins. Char's a full on like he's actually a badass. He just doesn't show it. He's got a sensitive side.
Like, he has capability. He's just very much in love at the moment that you meet him. I'm sure that he has a kill count.
He
sure
does.
of it.
He dies fighting the Rachni.
He has a kill count, yo. So
Vorn like has plans. Although he's got a kill count now too, doesn't he? I guess he didn't kill the guy.
not tech. He has like an assist on said
an assist,
possible
a potential
kill count.
assist. Yeah,
A potential assist.
a potential assist. Not a kill count. That's confirmed. Not a kill count.
Potential assist. I do like him though.
That sounds
I
like my
really do.
scores in multiplayer.
A potential. Are you still bad?
Assist.
No, actually, I am like top of the team whenever I play multiplayer,
I
and I've
don't
been doing
believe you.
silver.
Apparently, I was not so good because I was just poning everyone with my fists, and apparently that you don't earn badass points.
Well,
so...
it's you want to
No,
deal
but
damage.
I gotta
but-
say, backlash is so fucking helpful in multiplayer because you can have a person like disarming the bomb, and you sit there with backlash and like block stuff for them.
you can also use barricade for that too.
Yeah, it's like they really did add a like support things for multiplayer, which is so great.
Okay, we need questions coming up. Please ask us questions so we can play this soundbite.
There are new messages at your private terminal.
Sounds right.
I'm gonna plug it in there. Yeah. Then I'm also gonna leave BioFan sing in there. All right. Do we want to wrap this up then?
Sure.
All right. There is one more item that we need to cover. We have YouTube channels that have videos on them.
What?
Name one video or one video series that you want to point people to that you did on your channel.
Sure. I did a things that we wish that we knew before starting Mass Effect Andromeda, and I feel like that's pretty helpful for even if you're still early into the game. It's still good stuff to know about it.
I've been busy with a lot of school stuff and working on
So
doing
you
a
did a
review.
video about that?
No,
Damn
not
it!
yet. But I'm working on my review stuff. I'm working on some other projects. But I recently did, I guess I'll plug this because it's what I've done. I did, a lot of people were like, oh my god, your writer's so hot. How did you make him? So I did a video on how to make my writer.
Everybody
There you
wants
go.
you.
Sure.
I actually did a video that because
want me.
there were videos that I couldn't do where I asked people to ask me questions that I couldn't answer, and the winner gets an Andromenerds t-shirt. There were so many questions about you, Tucker.
Oh, really?
they're like, what is Tucker thinking right now? And we're like, damn, I can't answer that question. Tucker doesn't even know what he's thinking.
Wait, where is that? What video? The not Andromenerds one?
Yeah, the not Andromenerds
the
episode
number of
20.
licks it takes to get to center of the Tootsie Pop.
7.95,
The
right?
world
Prepare for
may
the moment
never
of
know.
whenever we record Andromenerds, the Andromenerds Tucker comes out.
Anyway, I want to do a huge Q&A, spoiler Q&A. So if you have questions about Mass Effect Andromeda and you want to hear me answer them, I think I'm going to answer all of them. It might be very long, but it should be fun. I got a video up on that. I believe the video title is like Ask Me Questions. You should be able to find it. If not, I failed horribly.
Or maybe I should plug a video that probably will be out by the time this is out. I'm going to do...
Is it going to be out in the next couple days?
Possibly. I'm doing a video on how to build a biotic boss. How to build a super awesome biotic destruction machine of a writer.
Charge Nova? That's all you do?
Yes.
I'm actually looking forward
But how to make that even better.
Okay. Cool. I think we got more. This is where I want to cut this off because we could go forever.
I do want to say one more thing. My channel, we surpassed in subscribers. We surpassed the BioWare channel.
Woo!
Which that's like
Because they
that's
put out
actually pretty
a
fucking cool.
video once a month.
Hey,
Maybe.
it's still cool that
It's cool.
it's more
Like
than
maybe
the BioWare.
once a month or like once every 3. Some amount of...
So that's
We'll
all the
fight both
nerdiness
of you.
we've got
Yes.
for today. Remember that every time you like and share this video, Minius is forced to read another one of these lines we've come up with. If you have any questions for us, Mass Effect related or otherwise, feel free to email us at andromenerds@gmail.com, and we might read your questions if we get them. We're on pretty much on vacation for too much. Along with our co-hosts, be sure to follow Andromenerds on Twitter. If you like this podcast and would like to see some more awesome videos, be sure to check out and subscribe to our respective channels.
Woo!
Oh my!
Season 2, Episode 1.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
You guys let me go all the way through that. Holy crap!
Oh wait, did you want me to interrupt it? Do it again.
No, I'm not going to do it again. I'm gonna cherish that moment. Season 2 started flawlessly.